Join me as I dive into Buddhist wisdom and challenge myself to apply its teachings for a week. Let's see how it transforms my life. Imagine you hold the key to complete freedom, a life where no one else's opinion controls you, where you don't fear rejection, and where your inner peace is unshakable. But in the world around you, people are constantly trying to influence your decisions, distract you, and pull you away from your true path. How would you handle that pressure? This is the wisdom Buddha offers us, a path to rise above external noise and unlock your full power by focusing only on yourself. Today, we'll reveal 10 powerful Buddhist lessons that show you how to let go of others' opinions and take control of your life. 1. Stop relying on others for your happiness. As the Buddha once said, peace comes from within. Do not seek it without. This means true happiness doesn't come from what others say or do. It comes from inside us. Too often, we allow the actions and words of others to determine our happiness. When someone praises us, we feel elated. When they criticize us, we feel crushed. But depending on external validation is like building a house on shaky ground. It's vulnerable to every storm of opinion. When we depend on others for our happiness, whether it's through their approval, praise, or actions, we give them control over our emotions. This often leads to disappointment because no one can make us happy all the time. People are unpredictable, and their opinions change as fast as the wind. Buddhism teaches us to look inward for peace and contentment. This means learning to be comfortable with who we are, independent of how others perceive us. True happiness comes from being present in the moment, appreciating the small things in life, and being grateful for what we already have. It's about cultivating a sense of inner joy and satisfaction that is not dependent on external circumstances. By practicing self-reliance, we build a strong foundation of inner peace that no one can take away from us. 2. Don't fear being alone. It's where you find true power. As the Buddha said, meditate. Live purely. Be quiet. Do your work with mastery. This is a reminder that solitude is not something to be feared. It is, in fact, a source of immense strength. In a world where we are constantly surrounded by noise, distractions, and social pressures, the ability to be alone and at peace with oneself is a rare and powerful gift. Many people equate being alone with loneliness, but the two are not the same. Loneliness is a feeling of emptiness, while solitude is a state of being with oneself. When we spend time alone, we give ourselves the opportunity to dive deeper into our own thoughts and emotions. It is in these quiet moments that we can reflect on who we are, what we want from life, and how we can grow. Being alone allows us to meditate, to focus on our personal growth, without the constant demands or judgments of others. It's in this quiet space that we gain clarity and insight into our lives. Instead of relying on the company of others for comfort or validation, we learn to be our own best companion. We build emotional resilience and self-awareness. By embracing solitude, we find the inner power and wisdom that helps us navigate life with confidence and clarity. 3. Quit seeking approval from everyone. As Buddha said, you yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection. This powerful teaching reminds us that the approval we need most is our own. Yet in our daily lives, we often fall into the trap of seeking approval from others, our friends, family, coworkers, and even strangers on social media. We yearn for their compliments, their praise, their acceptance, but in doing so, we lose sight of something important: our own worth. When we constantly seek validation from others, whether it's through compliments, praise, or acceptance, we lose sight of our own intrinsic value. Our sense of self-worth becomes tied to external factors which are fleeting and unreliable. One day, people may praise us. The next, they may criticize or ignore us. Buddhism teaches us that real confidence and happiness come from self-acceptance. True self-love isn't about being arrogant or thinking we are better than others. It's about recognizing our inherent worth as human beings and treating ourselves with the same kindness and compassion we would offer a loved one. When you start to love and accept yourself, you stop needing others to validate you. You become free. The more you approve of yourself, the less you'll depend on others for validation, freeing yourself from unnecessary stress and disappointment. 4. Don't let rejection break you. Rejection is a natural part of life, but it doesn't define your worth. Whether it's being turned down for a job, rejected by a romantic partner, or excluded from a social group, rejection hurts. It can leave us feeling worthless or inadequate. But Buddhism teaches us to view rejection not as a reflection of our value, but as part of the natural flow of life. It's easy to feel discouraged or inadequate when faced with rejection, but Buddhism teaches us to see it differently. Instead of seeing rejection as a failure, we can choose to view it as an opportunity for growth and redirection. Sometimes rejection is just life's way of steering you towards something better, something more aligned with your true path. As the Buddha said, in the end, only 3 things matter: how much you loved, how gently you lived, and how gracefully you let go of things not meant for you. This teaches us that letting go is an essential part of life. Not everything is meant for us, and that's okay. When you stop taking rejection personally, you free yourself from unnecessary pain. You create room for new opportunities, new directions, and new growth. Let go, move forward, and trust that rejection is just a stepping stone on your journey. Number 5. Stop fearing what others think of you. One of the biggest sources of anxiety is worrying about what others think of us. We often let the opinions of others shape our actions and feelings. We want to fit in, be liked, and gain approval. But Buddhism teaches us that the opinions of others are more about them than about us. People project their own fears, insecurities, and judgments onto others. Their judgments are not a reflection of who we are, but rather of their own inner world. The only thing that truly matters is how you see yourself and your own actions. As the Buddha said, let none find fault with others. Let none see the omissions and commissions of others, but let one see one's own acts, done and undone. This reminds us to focus on our own journey. Constantly worrying about what others think drains our energy and prevents us from living authentically. People's opinions are out of your control. They will always have something to say, but you don't have to let it affect you. When you let go of the fear of judgment, you free yourself from a heavy burden. You gain the freedom to live your life according to your own values and principles. You become more grounded in who you truly are. When you stop fearing others' opinions, you'll find peace in being authentically yourself. 6. Stop sacrificing your peace to please others. Many of us fall into the habit of trying to please everyone around us, whether it's at work, with friends, or even in our families. We often feel that in order to be accepted, appreciated, or loved, we need to bend over backwards and make others happy. But this comes at a cost: our peace and well-being. The need to please everyone around us may arise from a deep-rooted fear of rejection or the desire to fit in. However, trying to satisfy everyone is an impossible task. No matter how hard you try, you will never be able to fully meet everyone's expectations, and in doing so, you risk losing yourself. When you are constantly trying to please others, you neglect your own needs and desires. You give away your personal power in the hope of being liked or accepted. But in the end, this leads to exhaustion and stress. It's a never-ending cycle because people's needs and opinions change all the time. As the Buddha wisely taught, better than 1,000 hollow words is one word that brings peace. This teaches us that peace of mind is more valuable than trying to please everyone. It's not about saying what people want to hear or acting in a way that satisfies others. It's about living truthfully and protecting your own inner peace. Buddhism encourages us to act with compassion and kindness toward others, but not at the expense of our own well-being. There's a balance to be found. It's important to care for others, but not to the point where their needs take over your life. Saying no is not selfish. It's a way of setting boundaries. When you prioritize your peace, you'll be able to give more authentically and meaningfully, without feeling drained or resentful. When you focus on keeping your mind calm and centered, You stop seeking approval from others. You realize that true contentment doesn't come from external validation, but from within. By honoring your own peace, you create a more harmonious life, both for yourself and in your relationships with others. You begin to interact with others from a place of strength and clarity, rather than out of obligation or fear of rejection. 7. Focus on what you can control: yourself. In life, one of the greatest sources of frustration and unhappiness is the attempt to control things that are out of our hands. We want people to act a certain way, for situations to go exactly as we imagine, and for outcomes to align perfectly with our desires. But the reality is that much of life is beyond our control. One of the core teachings of Buddhism is that clinging to things we cannot control leads only to suffering. The truth is, you cannot control how others behave, how they feel, or what they think. We cannot force someone to treat us a certain way, and we cannot prevent situations from unfolding in ways we didn't expect. The only thing you truly have power over is yourself, your thoughts, your actions, and your reactions to the world around you. As the Buddha said, "Rule your mind, or it will rule you." This reminds us of the incredible power of the mind. When we allow our minds to be controlled by external circumstances, we give up our inner peace. However, when we learn to master our thoughts, emotions, and reactions, we reclaim our power. It's easy to waste energy trying to change others or control situations, but this only leads to frustration. Instead, shift that energy inward. Ask yourself, how can I react better? How can I improve myself? How can I find peace within, even when things outside of me are chaotic? These questions shift the focus from external to internal, where true control lies. By focusing on what you can control, your own mind, habits, and responses, you build resilience. External events, whether positive or negative, no longer have the power to disturb your peace. You begin to see that while you cannot control life, you can always control how you respond to it. Imagine the freedom that comes when you no longer feel the need to control everything around you. The moment you accept that others' actions and circumstances are beyond your control, you reclaim your power. This mindset leads to a calmer, more content life. You become less reactive and more intentional in your actions. Instead of living in a state of constant stress, you move through life with purpose and clarity. This practice of focusing on yourself also inspires others. When you demonstrate calm, resilience, and inner peace, people notice. Your energy becomes contagious. Without even trying to change others, you may find that your example encourages those around you to reflect on their own actions and reactions. This is not about being detached from the world, but about recognizing that your energy is best spent on what you can change: yourself. Once you master your own reactions, you will find that external challenges no longer shake your foundation. This is where true power lies, in your ability to remain at peace no matter what happens around you. 8. Realize that people are focused on their own lives. One of the biggest reasons we hold back from living authentically is the fear of judgment. We constantly worry about what others think of us. We imagine people scrutinizing our every move, how we dress, how we speak, how we act. This fear holds us back from being our true selves. It creates anxiety and makes us second-guess our choices. But the truth is, most people are far too focused on their own lives to spend time judging us. People are dealing with their own problems, their own dreams, and their own worries. Realizing this can be incredibly freeing. The fear of judgment can weigh us down and prevent us from fully expressing ourselves. But when we understand that most people are too absorbed in their own lives to truly focus on us, we can let go of that fear. This doesn't mean that no one will ever have opinions about us, but it does mean that their thoughts are fleeting, and more importantly, not our concern. As the Buddha taught, your work is to discover your world, and then with all your heart, give yourself to it. This reminds us that each of us has our own unique journey to follow. Our purpose is not to live according to others' expectations, but to discover our own path and live it fully. When you stop worrying about what others think, you liberate yourself. You no longer waste energy trying to live up to imagined expectations. Instead, you can focus that energy on discovering and fulfilling your true purpose. You can give yourself fully to your own journey, knowing that it's yours alone to walk. The more you embrace this, the more you realize that being your authentic self is the greatest gift you can give the world. By living fully and unapologetically, you inspire others to do the same. You become a living example of what it means to be free from the opinions of others. Letting go of the fear of judgment allows you to focus on what truly matters: your growth, your happiness, and your contribution to the world. People may notice, they may not. But ultimately, what matters most is how you feel about yourself and the path you are on. Consider how often you worry about what others think compared to how much time you spend thinking about your own challenges and goals. The truth is, just like you, most people are preoccupied with their own lives. They have their own dreams, insecurities, and worries to deal with, leaving little time to focus on you. This understanding gives you the freedom to be authentic, to make decisions that feel right for you, and to pursue your passions without the constant pressure of outside judgment. Recognizing this can be incredibly liberating. Instead of fixating on how you are perceived, you can shift your energy towards self-improvement and personal fulfillment. This shift allows you to embrace who you truly are, enabling you to act in ways that resonate with your values and aspirations. Living authentically becomes an act of courage rather than one of conformity. Buddhism teaches the concept of non-attachment, not just to material things, but also to the opinions of others. When you release yourself from the need for external approval, you allow yourself to live more authentically. Instead of living in fear of others' thoughts, focus on your own growth. This shift in mindset leads to greater confidence and inner peace, because you are no longer a prisoner of other people's judgments. When you realize that your worth is not dictated by the opinions of others, you empower yourself to take risks and make choices aligned with your true self. This authenticity fosters deeper connections with others, as they are drawn to your genuine presence. It's also important to understand that everyone is facing their own battles. Just as you may struggle with your own thoughts and emotions, others are dealing with their own issues. Recognizing this helps build empathy and understanding, making it easier to let go of the fear of judgment. People aren't judging you because they are too busy navigating their own struggles. By focusing less on what others think and more on your personal development, you'll start to notice a sense of freedom that wasn't there before. You'll feel lighter, more empowered, and more in control of your own destiny. It's a powerful realization that you don't need to worry about how others perceive you because they are simply too caught up in their own world. Living authentically and without fear of judgment is the key to unlocking your true potential. You'll take more risks, pursue the things that truly bring you joy, and live with a greater sense of purpose. Remember, the world is far too vast, and life is too short to live in the shadows of what others may or may not be thinking. Focus on discovering and fulfilling your own purpose with full dedication. By letting go of the constant need for validation and the fear of judgment, you create a mental and emotional space for self-discovery. This practice leads to a stronger connection with yourself and a deeper understanding of what truly matters in your life. The less you worry about what others think, the more you can focus on what makes you feel fulfilled, peaceful, and content. 9. Don't get caught up in social comparison. One of the biggest traps in life is comparing yourself to others. Whether it's comparing your looks, your career, your success, or even your happiness, this habit leads to feelings of envy, inadequacy, and frustration. Buddhism teaches us that comparison is a form of attachment that leads to suffering. By constantly measuring yourself against others, you lose sight of your own unique path and the progress you've made on your journey. As the Buddha said, "Health is the greatest gift, contentment the greatest wealth, faithfulness the best relationship. This reminds us that true wealth isn't found in having more than others or being better than others. It's found in contentment. When you are content with what you have and who you are, you experience inner peace. Contentment is a powerful state of being that nurtures happiness and well-being. It encourages you to celebrate your journey and recognize your achievements, no matter how small. This perspective fosters resilience, enabling you to face challenges with a positive outlook rather than a sense of lack. Social comparison, on the other hand, pushes you into a mindset of scarcity, always focusing on what you lack instead of appreciating what you already have. In today's world, social media has made it easier than ever to compare ourselves to others. We scroll through feeds full of pictures of perfect vacations, luxurious lifestyles, and success stories, which can make us feel like we're falling behind. But what we often don't see is the reality behind those photos, the struggles, insecurities, and challenges others face. This selective portrayal of life on social media can create a false narrative, leading you to believe that everyone else is leading a perfect life. It's essential to remember that social media is often a highlight reel, showcasing only the best moments while hiding the difficulties that accompany them. Everyone's journey is different, and comparing your behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel is a recipe for unhappiness. Buddhism teaches us the importance of living in the present moment and cultivating gratitude for our own lives. Instead of looking outward to others, turn inward and focus on your own growth. When you practice mindfulness and gratitude, you begin to notice the blessings in your own life and how far you've come. The more you appreciate what you have, the less you feel the need to compare yourself to others. This gratitude can become a daily practice, transforming your mindset and allowing you to cultivate joy from within. Comparison often leads to a sense of competition, which can breed jealousy and resentment. In Buddhism, these emotions are seen as harmful because they cloud the mind and take us away from our path to peace. When you're constantly competing with others, you're never satisfied. This mindset robs you of the joy that comes from living authentically. Recognize that everyone's path is different, and the success of others does not diminish your own progress or potential. Instead of measuring your success against others, set personal goals that reflect your values and aspirations. Celebrate your milestones, no matter how small they may seem. In doing so, you cultivate a sense of fulfillment and joy that comes from within, reinforcing the idea that your journey is uniquely yours. A key Buddhist concept is the idea of right livelihood, which encourages living in a way that brings harmony and balance. This principle invites us to reflect on our work and daily choices, ensuring that they align not just with our personal goals, but also with our values and the greater good. Part of this balance is accepting that your life doesn't need to look like someone else's for it to be fulfilling. It encourages you to appreciate the unique journey that each individual undertakes, fostering a sense of contentment in your own experiences. When you stop comparing yourself to others and focus on living according to your own values and goals, you begin to experience true contentment. This is a profound shift that opens the door to self-discovery and fulfillment. Your self-worth no longer depends on external standards or achievements. Instead, it is rooted in inner peace and self-acceptance. This internal foundation allows you to weather life's storms with greater resilience, as your happiness is no longer contingent on the fluctuating opinions of others. Social comparison can distract you from what truly matters. It can create a cycle of dissatisfaction and inadequacy, leading you to chase after societal definitions of success rather than following your own aspirations. You may start to chase goals or possessions that don't align with your own desires simply because you see others doing it. This mimetic desire can lead you down paths that feel untrue to yourself, pulling you away from your authentic desires and passions. But Buddhism reminds us that true happiness comes not from external achievements, but from understanding and following our own unique path. Chasing what others have can lead you away from what is truly meaningful in your life. This understanding empowers you to cultivate your own dreams and aspirations, free from the weight of others' expectations. By practicing non-attachment, you can break free from the cycle of comparison. This doesn't mean you shouldn't have goals or strive for success. Rather, it means recognizing that your value is not dependent on outperforming others. Your value comes from being true to yourself and your journey. When you realize this, you free yourself from the pressure to constantly measure up to others and instead focus on what brings you genuine joy and fulfillment. This shift allows you to engage with your life in a more meaningful way, enabling you to pursue passions that resonate with your true self. Another aspect to consider is how comparison steals your time and energy. The time you spend thinking about someone else's achievements or lifestyle is time you could use to work on your own growth and well-being. This realization is crucial. Every moment spent in comparison is a moment taken away from nurturing your own potential and developing your unique gifts. Instead of envying someone else's success, ask yourself how you can improve your own life in ways that are meaningful to you. When you focus on your own journey, you begin to see how much you've grown and what you're capable of achieving, which builds confidence and self-respect. You may find that the achievements of others serve as inspiration rather than a measure of your own worth. Remember that life is not a race. Each of us has our own timing, challenges, and lessons to learn. What matters is not how you compare to others, but how true you are to your own path. This acknowledgement fosters a sense of peace and allows you to appreciate your unique journey. When you stop comparing and start focusing on your own journey, you will find a sense of fulfillment that no external achievement can provide. 10. Prioritize your inner growth over external validation. In today's world, many of us are conditioned to seek external validation, whether it's approval from family, recognition from colleagues, or likes and comments on social media. This societal tendency encourages a superficial understanding of self-worth. We often look to others to feel good about ourselves, but Buddhism teaches us that true peace and fulfillment come from within. The more we chase external validation, the more we move away from our true selves. Our self-worth becomes dependent on how others see us, which creates a cycle of dissatisfaction and insecurity. As the Buddha wisely said, the mind is everything. What you think, you become. This quote emphasizes the power of your inner world. If you focus on your own growth, mindset, and self-awareness, you become stronger and more at peace. On the other hand, if your thoughts are constantly seeking external approval, you become trapped by the opinions of others, limiting your potential for authentic expression and personal development. In Buddhism, the path to enlightenment is rooted in self-awareness, mindfulness, and inner transformation. By focusing on your inner growth, you can cultivate a sense of fulfillment that no amount of external validation can provide. This internal fulfillment is a steadfast companion that can guide you through life's challenges. The pursuit of external validation is often tied to our ego, the part of us that craves attention, recognition, and status. But the ego is never satisfied. No matter how much approval we get from others, the ego will always want more. It becomes a never-ending chase that leaves us feeling empty and disconnected from our true selves. Buddhism encourages us to transcend the ego by turning inward and seeking fulfillment through self-awareness, mindfulness, and compassion. The more you focus on your inner growth, the less power the ego has over you. When you prioritize inner growth, you start to see that your worth is not based on how others perceive you. Instead, it's based on your own values, integrity, and personal development. You begin to measure success not by external achievements, but by how much you've grown as a person. Are you more patient, more compassionate, and more mindful than you were yesterday? These are the true markers of progress, and they come from within. External validation, on the other hand, is fleeting. It can disappear as quickly as it comes, leaving you chasing after the next source of approval. This transient nature of external validation emphasizes the importance of cultivating a strong internal foundation. Focusing on inner growth also allows you to build resilience. When your sense of self-worth is rooted in external validation, you become vulnerable to the opinions and judgments of others. A single criticism or rejection can shatter your confidence. But when your sense of self is grounded in your own personal development, you become more resilient to life's challenges. You know who you are, and you don't need others to tell you your worth. This inner strength is one of the greatest gifts that comes from prioritizing your own growth. Prioritizing inner growth over external validation leads to a more peaceful and authentic life. When you stop worrying about what others think, you give yourself the freedom to live according to your own values and desires. You no longer feel the pressure to fit into someone else's expectations or conform to societal standards. Instead, you live a life that's true to who you are. This authenticity not only brings inner peace, it also attracts deeper, more meaningful relationships with others. People are naturally drawn to those who are comfortable in their own skin and who live with integrity. One of the core teachings of Buddhism is the concept of impermanence, the idea that everything in life is temporary and constantly changing. This includes external validation. The praise and approval you receive from others today may be gone tomorrow. Chasing after something so unstable will only lead to frustration and anxiety. Inner growth, however, is something that cannot be taken away from you. The wisdom, self-awareness, and emotional resilience you develop through personal growth are lasting qualities that will serve you throughout your life. Another important Buddhist concept is equanimity, which refers to maintaining mental calmness and emotional balance regardless of external circumstances. When you focus on inner growth, you cultivate equanimity. You become less reactive to both praise and criticism because your sense of self-worth is no longer tied to what others think. Instead, it's anchored in your own inner peace and self-awareness. This emotional balance allows you to navigate life's ups and downs with grace and confidence. Focusing on inner growth doesn't mean ignoring the outside world or other people. Instead, it means recognizing that the most important work you can do is within yourself. When you prioritize your personal development, you also become a better friend, partner, and community member. You bring more compassion, patience, and wisdom to your relationships, and you inspire others to focus on their own growth. Inner growth is not a selfish pursuit. It's the foundation for a more harmonious and fulfilling life for both you and those around you. When you prioritize inner growth, you open the door to true happiness. External validation may bring temporary pleasure, but it's fleeting and dependent on others. Inner growth, on the other hand, brings lasting joy and fulfillment because it's rooted in your own efforts and self-awareness. You no longer need to rely on the opinions of others to feel good about yourself. And this freedom is incredibly empowering. The moment you stop caring about what others think, you unlock your true potential and embrace a life of self-empowerment. Let go of external expectations and start focusing on your own journey. Remember, true power comes from within.